I put 3 guys in honorable mention. It's all because they're hurt right now.
I didn't do injury or no injury.
I had to do injury, no injury. Because the way I looked at it, there were 3 guys that would have made my list had they not been injured.
Okay.
Kevin Love, Derrick Rose, Dirk Nowitzki.
Okay.
Those 3 guys would have been on my list somewhere, but they're all hurt right now. So I couldn't, in good conscience, put a guy who's on the injured list.
You know, it's sad to say, but to be honest with you, the only injured player I considered was Rose. Kevin
Love didn't get consideration?
Let me go back. It's not fair for me to say that I didn't treat this as if you're injured, I wouldn't put you in the list. Because that's sort of how I didn't even think about those guys because of their injuries. But obviously, being a homer and loving my Bulls and Derrick Rose, that's why he is in this list. But I will say I kept him at the back end based on the injury. I probably would move him a little higher if he wasn't injured, but I kept him at the back end of my list because of the injury. But he's the only injured player that I even let enter my mind. You know what I'm trying to say? So I did sort of not consider Love or Dirk because of their injuries, not because I don't think they're considered top 10 NBA players.
Yeah.
But Rose got in there because of me being a homer, pretty much. To be completely honest with you, that's why Rose is really in this list right now. So I think we'll say this is a list based with the guys that aren't injured, and I just sort of made one exception. But I kept him I put him at 8. I kept him at the back end of the list. So
who you got at 10?
I got Darren Williams, point guard of the Nets. I think Darren Williams, to me, has always been sort of stuck on some negative rosters, and yet consistently is one of the best players in the NBA. And I think when watching him with the USA team this past summer, I really had a chance to see how well, like, he didn't look lost with the other stars. You know what I mean? Kevin Love's first couple games, he actually looked a little lost. Like, he didn't know where he was supposed to be. You could see he got comfortable as the Olympics went on and they got to the medal rounds, and he was more than fine. But you could see that those first couple of scrimmage games they played when they were over in the States, and when they played Argentina and Spain and did all that, you could see him trying to find a comfort level amongst those guys. So, but Darren Williams to me just fit, and he just looked like he belonged with all those guys. So I have Darren Williams, point guard of the Nets, at number 10.
At 10, I couldn't decide between 3 guys, so I kind of put all 3 there.
Go for it. It's always fun.
1 is Deron Williams, so I'll agree with you there that he is there. The second guy I put there, LaMarcus Aldridge.
He's actually part of my honorable mention list.
He's a guy that I look at and I want to say, well, who would I rather? Would I rather Deron Williams or would I rather Aldridge? And I look at it and I say, I can't make that decision. And then there was another guy, too, that I look at and I'm like, I'm still not in love with him, but everybody else is. Blake Griffin.
Okay. See, I think Blake Griffin's still got some time. I think he's still a highlight film more than an actual great NBA player.
But I had those 3 because I was like, well, yeah, I think the same thing, that he's more of a highlight reel than a great NBA player, but he seems to have a highlight every night.
Yes, he does.
So,
but when you jump out of the gym, you should have a highlight every night.
Then
let's go 10, 9, 8. We'll do 3. We'll do shots of 3. So give me your 9 and 8 as well.
My 9 is Russell Westbrook.
Okay. He actually was my honorable mention.
He's a hell of a point guard, one of the best in the league. He scores in bunches. He doesn't necessarily get as many assists as you want a point guard to get, but they have a great chemistry there in OKC, and he is one of the most athletic point guards. I think him and Rajon Rondo are the 2 most athletic point guards out there.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say the same maybe about Rose, but he's injured, so again, like I said, I left him off my list. As far as 8 goes, that's where I got D-Wade.
Okay.
Still one of the top 10 players in the league.
Yeah.
Sometimes gets a little overshadowed by LeBron, but there's no denying what Wade's able to do. So Wade's my 8.
Now, like I said, Darren Williams is my 10. Look, this list to me is one of those lists that I think if you did this list once a week, every single week, not paying attention to stats or anything, I think your opinion could vary by a spot or 2 with almost all these guys other than the top, 2. think those top two, you might flop them, but no matter what, they're going to stay your top two.
Yeah.
I think outside of that, you could sort of, one day you could feel like, well, Darren Williams is actually like 8, or maybe Darren Williams isn't number 10, maybe he's 11.
But I think like all these guys would definitely still be in the top 10.
So for me, number 9, and like I said, I could see me putting him as high as 5, but I have him at 9. Rajon Rondo. The man, there's nothing on the basketball court he can't do.
Mm-hmm.
He's still developing his offensive game, but you saw last year he dropped 44 points.
He's got 29 straight games with 10 assists or more.
There you
Third
go.
longest streak in NBA history. Third longest.
It's sick how much he can do on a basketball court. It really is. It is sick what he. I mean, everything he can do. So he's my 9, and then like I said, I put Rose at 8. The homer in me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to do it.
Like I said, I looked at the guys that were injured that would have made my list, and I just said I'm gonna leave them on the list for now because they're not playing.
Yeah.
As far as 7, give me your 7 and 6.
I'll give you my 7 and 6. At number 7, I went with Mr. Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul's game. I think he's a great point guard. I think the only reason why I don't think I have him higher is just because of the fact that I don't know. I don't know. I put him anywhere, to be honest with you. So Chris Paul, I put at number 7, and at number 6, I put Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
That's what I went with.
Again, I could say, like we said, you could see these guys
and if
anywhere.
we sit here and try to debate it, this is going to take an hour.
Well, but the thing is that they're so close that it's really hard to debate. Well, I would rather, this guy's so much better. That guy, they're not that much better than each other. So I completely agree when you sit there and say, listen, it could, you could flop spots any way you want. I mean,
it almost wouldn't be a debate. It'd just be us repeating each other. We'd keep saying the same things.
As far as my 7, I have Rajon Rondo at 7, and then I have Carmelo Anthony at number 6.
Okay.
Anthony at 6.
Yeah, and Melo, to me, I think Melo this year, with the way he's playing defense, if he plays like this all year, you might be bumping him top 5.
He could be up as high as 3. He could be right behind LeBron and Kevin Durant if he could play some defense because he's got the scoring.
Yeah.
He's actually leading the league in scoring right now as far as points per game.
That's right. He can score with either one of those two guys.
Yeah. It's just the defensive end and the defensive intensity that sets him apart. Maybe he's picking that up. Right now, I got him at 6.
Yeah. For me, we'll go 5 and 4, and then we'll just do our top 3.
Yeah.
My number 5, I went with Dwight. I went with Big Dwight. The injury problems, the back and forth with the back issue makes me nervous. But he's the best big man we've had in the NBA. I mean, I want to say since Tim Duncan entered the league, or Shaq. I mean, he belongs in if he can stay healthy for his career, his name's going right up there with the rest of those guys. He's not some guy. I don't see him being somebody that just fade like how Shaq. If Shaq actually worked out and took good shape, took care of himself,
he'd still be playing.
He'd still be dominating people.
Yeah.
Seriously, he still would be, but he didn't because he was that good. He just said, I don't care. I'll gain 50 pounds and still eat people.
Yeah.
But Dwight Howard doesn't look like somebody that's just going to get lazy and let 80 pounds get onto his body. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. So I got Howard at 5, and then I put Melo at 4 because, like we said, I think he can score with all of them.
I just didn't want to be too much. I almost had him up at 3.
Did you?
And I was like, that just seems too homerish, so I backed him off a little bit. Honest to God, that's where I had him up there, that high. But at my number 5, I got Kobe Bryant.
Okay. Age sort of knocked him backwards for you?
Age knocked him back a little bit. The knee problems knocked him back a little bit. But again, he's still a top 5 player in this league. He's a top 5 scorer. He's a guy with 5 NBA championships. You can't deny the guy's talent. I've tried for years. I've been kind of, not necessarily a Kobe hater, but just not necessarily a Kobe believer. But the more I look at his overall career and his longevity and how long he's been able to keep himself at the top of a list like this, it's pretty remarkable. So I got to give him the credit. I got him at 5, and I actually have Chris Paul at 4.
Okay.
I think that he's a guy like Rondo who could do, maybe not as athletic as Rondo, or Westbrook, but a guy who could do everything on the floor. He could score, he could he could pass,
I don't. The only thing I say about him, about difference between him and Rondo, I think the only real difference I see is the defense. I think Rondo, because he's got such long arms.
He plays better defense,
Yeah,
but I just look at it as I don't know. Again, it's just one of those things where you could go either way with all these guys. 3 through 8, really.
If you told me I could have either one of them at point guard, I'd let you choose because I wouldn't care.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's that type of decision.
And that's the type
And I feel that way about all 3 point guards in our list, because you could say the same thing. If you were to throw on the table, you could start a team today with Westbrook, Paul, or Rondo. All 3 are young. All 3 are in their prime. All 3, do everything you want a point guard pretty much should do. They're all athletic. They could all lead your team to where you want them to go. I would have no problem, like you just said, picking up any one of those 3 and being happy.
I'll close my eyes and go like this, and I'll be A-okay with whatever choice I make.
Exactly. So, as far as 3, this is the one where I actually put Dwight Howard.
Okay.
And I put him at 3 because he really, to me, is the only true center that deserved to be on this list. He is, without denying, without anybody even saying anything, he is the best center in the league, bar none. Right?
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it.
So
and then you got the injuries issues with Bynum. So, I mean, Bynum looks like he's going to be the stereotypical big man over the past 5-6 years.
You got pretty much Howard, and then the step down from Howard is down to like a Roy Hibbert, who's good, I would still want to take him on my team.
But
Howard, he's not Howard. No. He can't dominate a game.
Athletic ability to just... Howard's one of the few big men that we've ever seen going back in the history of basketball that can run from end to end with the forwards and guards. Now, is he going to be as fast as them? No, but he's athletic enough that he can actually get end to end with you and not be the guy trailing all the way back, so you're playing 4-on-4 or 4-on-5 and waiting for him to get to the other side,
So that's why I had to put him up at 3. I just think that he's just too dominant a player.
Kobe took my 3. I had to put Kobe at 3.
I had a feeling that's because I hadn't heard him yet that's right.
And in my opinion, like you said, you looked at the longevity and all that, and the main reason more than anything else why I put Kobe at 3 is, to me, he's the closest thing the NBA has seen to Michael Jordan since Michael Jordan. All the guys that have come out, he's the next Michael. Come on, Vince Carter was predicted to be the next Michael at one point. But do I think Kobe Bryant's Michael Jordan? No. He never developed that fadeaway. That was the one thing that, to me, that separates Michael from pretty much any of these guys that you watch right now, is that he was able, as a 6'6" guard, he was able to post you up whether you were bigger or smaller than him, and you couldn't stop that fadeaway. That fadeaway, he perfected it. And it didn't matter if he went to his right shoulder or his left, he perfected it. And that, to me, is the reason why he was able to keep playing and come back and do that second round of 3 in a row, because he went from the guy that's driving the hole on you and trying to just dunk on you to a guy that just played smart basketball. He posted you up. He either passed it or he shot. He could drive. He could shoot. Jordan really got really good at that 15 to 18-foot fadeaway jump shot range. And once he perfected that, it was like, how do you guard the man anymore? And Kobe, to me, was competitive-wise, that I will die to win attitude. He's the only guy I've really seen have that attitude since Jordan's retired. I mean, you see guys show flashes of it and moments, but day in and day out, game in and game out, the drive to go through anything and everything to go win rings. I mean, what surprised me, though, only one MVP. His whole entire career, he's only won one MVP award. That surprises me. But when you play with Shaq your first couple championships, then you got to bring in Gasol to get. I guess you can sort of see it, but that surprised me. So obviously we know who our 2-1 is. The question is really not who's 1, because then we know who 2 is.
I had to put LeBron James at 1.
God, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Right? Don't you? It's just.
I had to too.
It's just because he is just.
What can he do? He plays 4 positions on the floor. In today's NBA, he could technically play all 5. If you wanted to go small, you can put him at the 5. You literally could, and then you could put him at the 5 and have him play point at the same time. That's just unfair.
I wouldn't even say that. It's just he's physically. I mean, you say Jordan was 6'6" and able to post anybody up. This guy's 6'8". He's got a lot more like defined muscle mass. I mean, the guy is just huge. He overpowers people, but at the same time, he can go around you. And the thing that puts him at 1 over Durant for me is his defense. LeBron plays defense. Believe it or not, he's a superstar that plays good defense. His block shots are normally highlight reels.
Oh my God.
Coming up from behind and chasing people down.
I love how he times it too.
But
I hate LeBron James, but he's too damn good.
It's his effort to do that though, to get down the court,
run 96 feet
on a fast break and swat it as the guy's going up to the glass. It's that type of effort and an effort on the defensive end of the court for me that puts him at number 1.
You know what? I hate saying it, but it's true. The simple fact of the matter, look, go back to last year's NBA Finals. When Miami finally decided it's time to shut down Kevin Durant, who guarded Durant? LeBron James. They were guarding each other for a nice stretch of the fourth quarter in numerous games. And each game, hence why Miami won, LeBron kept having the better fourth quarter.
But I also look at it as Durant's still younger.
And Durant's got to bulk up a little bit more. I'm not saying turn into a Jack Diesel, just a little more weight to that body.
I think he will. The older he gets, I mean, you just know the way people's bodies mature.
Yeah. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, he's gonna put on a little more weight. He's gonna fill in a little more. And when he does, and if he can get that defensive tenacity aspect to his game,
which I think he will.
I think that he will surpass LeBron in the next couple years as the number 1 overall player. But right now I look at it, and as much as like I would say if I had a team right now and I had the number 1 overall pick, who would I pick? As much as everything in my guts is just take Durant, take Durant, take Durant.
You love him.
You love the Durant.
I like come on, doo-doo jump. That's one of my favorite commercials. You ever see that one with Durant? Oh, my God.
And then, but you look at it and you just can't go against LeBron and everything he brings to the table.